Okay, hello and good day to everyone. That is you're tuning in here at the Sphere Rocket Podcast Network. Once again, I'm going to be the host for today's episode. My name is Dwayne, and right now we have yet another special episode made extra special by our guest for today, who is not only a realtor, but I guess also a fellow podcast host, I would say. So, I guess without further ado, we got Brian Kelly. How are you doing today? And welcome to the show.
Doing great. Thank you. Thanks. I'm honored, Dwayne, to be here.
Also honored, and I have to say, I'm loving the backdrop. Is that digital or is that
No, it's
being
real. This is a studio that one of my past clients is a photographer from San Francisco who helped me build out a studio here. So I've got some lighting and a whole nine yards here, and that's my dog is he's my office manager. So
yeah.
bring him into the studio. He manages things. Make sure I'm in line.
You know what's funny? My background is like the digital version of your background. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's like the kind of pattern like that. So guys, you guys know who got the better equipment and things as a podcast host. So great job on that. And that being said, you're also a podcast host yourself. You have your own podcast. So can you tell us a bit more about the kind of podcast that you have?
Well, I knew that I needed to do one, and I started it last year, and I really need to get back. It's Unleash Your Legacy is the podcast, and it was really on my heart to do. I've really got this intersection of faith and business. That's my heart. I went through COVID and cancer a few years ago, and my wife was diagnosed last year with cancer, and so I realized that life is short. I'm 60 years old, and so the podcast was my desire to encourage others. Things happen along the journeys, right? And so the podcast is about, and I intermix. It's just really authentic. It's me. It's like you get what you get with me, right? I showed you my dog and my little video here. But so for me, my faith has carried me through all these years. And also I have a love of AI and computer science. That was my background. So it's a little mixture of my excitement about AI and what it's going to happen with real estate. And also just talking about how faith can leave. There's a real traction in faith in business. And it's not just platitudes, it's real, because that's just the way I like to keep it authentically.
It's kind of like the law of attraction. You just think of what you get and you need to visualize yourself getting that. And pretty much with with someone who's a salesperson, you need to believe in your own product
Yes.
before, you can't really sell a good product that yourself that it's not going to work. Somehow, no matter how good of an actor or salesperson you are, the person you're selling to, if not someone else might be able to feel that. So
And I
it's
really
good that you have
believe
that
that.
kind of passion, and I have to say that's what an oh carry on with this.
I was just my heart is, I really believe that the Creator built us for a purpose and a reason, and it's for Him and you and others. It's for you. And so my purpose to be a real estate agent or be a broker or whatever I do is for others, right? And so it's for my family. So I've got this filter in my office. I wish I could show you the picture of it, but it's for God, and then your family, and that's next, and then work, and then ministry. So, keeping those in order is, to me, the most important and principal thing for me. That's what drives me.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, I would say, because so basically you choose this profession as a real estate agent, not in a position of like wanting a job that will basically give you money or give you flexible time in working. And
No, so yeah, no, I grew up in a real estate family. Both my parents are brokers. And I told my dad, I would never wear fancy shoes and I would never be in the real estate business. And I went to go study computer science engineering and went to the Army and got a degree in computer science and started working in manufacturing consulting. So I kind of railed against being in real estate. But now look, I'm here. Purposes.
Yes, exactly. I guess that's God's plan for you, and
Yes.
it runs in the blood, I guess, since you're coming from a real estate family, so pretty much you're in line to do that. But it's
Yes.
what's interesting is that computer science, especially now, is huge as a career. Like a lot of people are making have really amazing career and job, and of course salary within it.
Sure.
And with you still switch to real estate. So I'm curious. So what made you make that switch? Did you have like I don't know, a divine intervention attached to it?
No, I had a baby. We had a baby. My wife and I had a baby. And so I was just finishing up Desert Storm. I was in the Army and we had a child and I was in Nashville at the time in Franklin, Tennessee. And so after having a child, you say, whoa, I did that to my parents. What's going on here? Where did we want to raise this child? And my parents were building a company and I'd been jetting around and was kind of tired of flying out every week and coming home on the weekends. And so we decided to move back home to Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's where I live, and jumped in the family real estate business. So that was in 1990, 91. And it kind of stuck. I did a lot of different things in that. I didn't just jump into sales. I'm an introvert by heart and a geek. So I did relocation with my mom as the first job. I did set up the networks and the phone systems. And then I reluctantly got into sales and then started a new homes division. So I love marketing with new homes. That was great. And then that worked. And so I ran the company and, back the original old school way of doing brokerage, you set up a brick and mortar office. And so I liked that. And Dad made me the president. And so I said, let's build more offices. So we ended up with 14 offices and 500 agents. And we were scattered all over Georgia and Tennessee. And it was very physical, right? Because we had all these office buildings with a lot of people and we had the mortgage, title, and insurance. But I realized today, now with technology, here I am talking to you, Dwayne. You're
in the same room.
Yeah, you're in the Philippines, but here we are, and so it's just an amazing time, and that's the virtual brokerage is so exciting to me. AI is exciting to me. All the tech is exciting because I just enjoy it. I enjoy the application of it.
Definitely, that changes the marketing in general, in terms of not just in real estate and everywhere right now. Getting reach to people with social media. And now with the current integrations of AI technology, it's a lot more simpler, faster, I guess, compared to what you would do before. But, interestingly, in my past podcasts, a lot of people do criticize AI in terms of getting involved in real estate.
And that's crazy.
Yeah, in a way that they said that AI, I'm not saying that they're wrong or right. Everyone has an opinion to their own. But, they're saying that with the AI, there are some good things about it. But a lot of real estate agents tends to get lazy because of, improving technology and sometimes lacking, that personal touch, especially when they're using AI to, interact with people. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I was with an elderly couple last night at the kitchen table. And I will say this about AI that is daunting, right? It's people go because one, the pace is accelerating of change. And I think we get a little bit fearful. If we took someone, let's say Abraham Lincoln in the 1800s, and we put him in the vehicle that I drove, on the interstate going 65 miles an hour, they probably would be just like, right? I mean, they would be totally shocked. And that pace of change is just rapidly keeping on going. And so anyway, this lady was so fearful. I said, what are you really fearful of? She said, well, I was scammed out of some money on the phone. And AI, I know enough about AI, right, that it's so easy to duplicate a voice or a person and a Zoom, right? I could be, Dwayne, we haven't met personally, but I mean, it'd be a really good AI right now to duplicate your nods and the things you're saying and doing and asking. But there's a real fear that machines will basically want to try to do this relationally and that people might trust them in the start and scam and not be real. And I think I think when we're not authentic, one of the principles that our group, we're in 20 states at Premier, is authentic and being authentic. And I think you can be authentic with AI and use it as a tool, because to me it's a tool, just like the phone. Just like the phone is a tool, the computer and AI is a tool. It's a wonderful tool. It's so powerful. Building super prompts is amazing. I think where it could be dangerous is where we try to replicate relationships in real, authentic, deep relationships. So and I think that some of that fear is not misplaced. I think that's something I think security is going to have to be, really something that we all strive for. Anyway, now I've got my own opinions about local AI and all that kind of stuff, but we can.
I totally understand them. You mentioned fear in terms of AI, and I guess a lot of people are getting scared that AI might eventually replace a lot of people in the workforce as well. I mean, there are part of it, and as you mentioned as well, scamming people. But it's a tool, as you mentioned. It has negative things. Like a knife. A knife can be used as a tool, and unfortunately, it can also be used to threaten someone physically. So it all depends on the person that's using it. So yeah, I guess that's the way to go with.
As an old realtor, I've got a card, but I can use this card to go buy things. I can also use it to break in the door if I know how to use it correctly. You can take something really simple, right, like a screwdriver, and use it for bad things.
Exactly. It just all depends on the person. So,
right.
If you're going to get scammed and using AI, then it's the person using that tool that you should be afraid of, not the AI itself.
Absolutely.
The best way you can do is just get educated, so you know what to avoid in terms of using AI. And going a bit more about AI, how were you able to utilize AI technology in your business?
Well, I've written commercial contracts. I do some commercial, and I do mostly residential, but some commercial. I'm using it every day for different things. One, to help me analyze some data, and two, to write contracts. Like I've written some commercial type things, and then also to query or come up with plans. I like it as a creative partner, so I can, if I want to, I rarely, some of my assistants use it to do the descriptions I'm so old school. I like to write the descriptions myself, but they like to use I like to teach them the AI, right? The tools, so that they can put in the descriptions and the fields for the listings and that kind of thing. But I would rather use it for research and solving some bigger problems. I'm not maybe making that clear, but perplexity is one that, I was just talking to my dad, who's 86, he's diabetic, and he was asking me, well, what is this CGM? Or it was a patch that monitors his blood glucose. So I look it up on Perplexity, and I'm just using it all the time to find out answers for people in different problems for different things, right?
So kind of like in a way, kind of like how you would Google something. But I guess AI does provide a more detailed and correct answer without, I guess, using the typical search engine.
Using super prompts, I basically make courses. In one of the guys that's a mentor of mine in AI has a super prompt, and you can put the AI into a professor-like mode, and you can teach you about anything. And so I like to learn about different things. It could be as simple as solving a problem with my vehicle, or it could be, real estate related. I'll put in some things in the commercial world to calculate different aspects, or you could put in a contract and have it analyze it, right? And say, okay, what am I not seeing in this agreement? And put it in the framework. You put the AI into a framework of a professor or a director of real estate for a commercial or residential division. Say, make me a marketing plan. You're the director of Coldwell Banker, or you're an agent in a such and such city. Make me a marketing plan for the upcoming year to help me drive YouTube, social media traffic. I have it do Instagram planning. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can use it for.
I guess I have not been utilizing AI as good as I should. that that is quite impressive because normally when I ask AI, okay, I have this thoughts. I'm just because I'm that type of person who has random thoughts, and I can't like concise it in like a paragraph that's going to be like simple for anyone to read. But I guess in that procedure, what's the name of the AI tool that you're using or the program?
Oh, I've got probably about 20 different models. I've even downloaded open models on my computer, but Poe is one that uses also, you've heard of OpenAI and ChatGTP, but Poe uses a lot of different models. POE, it's from a company that also hosts Quora. And Perplexity is a great app. It's to replace Google. It's to ask questions about certain things. Perplexity, and just load it on Android or Apple and choose free, don't pay for it. But Perplexity is a great app to ask questions, but it's not the large language model that I like to use the super prompts for. Like a Llama, Zuckerberg just came out with one just a few days ago, open source Llama. So there's tons. It's fun.
I'm taking mental notes right now. I'm definitely using those right after this episode. But that being said, so with all the things, the convenience that AI, those technology that was able to help you out, do you even need more people within your business? And how
Yes.
are you able to grow your team? I guess you can talk
Yes,
about
yes,
that. Yeah.
many people. And I was sitting at the table, a kitchen table of a seller. I can't have AI do that. I don't have a robot to replace me or drive there yet. And it's never going to be that way, right? People, we enjoy being with people. So I'm sorry, Dwayne, I have a little ADHD. What the last question you said was,
Like, how are you able to choose, which people do you have? And I guess, yeah, that's pretty much the essence of the question.
well,
Like,
your company Sphere Rocket really helped me with the assistants. And that was wonderful. We had an interview process and got to meet people. And then I had someone sitting with me. And of course, you all have a manager sitting there with you in the interview process of those. But I actually, so for a video editor, as an example, the guy that helped me do the studio as a past client, he looked at the work of the 5 different people of the video editors that you brought in for me to interview. And I would have selected the wrong person, but he was able to help me. He said, you really need Noreen. I was like, okay. And sure enough, he's right. And she is amazing.
and the thing is with Sphere Rocket, you could, without Sphere Rocket, if you're gonna go directly hiring for a VA, it's gonna take you, tons of time, like just filtering out everyone, making sure that this, other than having the skills that you wanted, that is this guy legit? Is this guy
Yes.
not, doesn't have a background? I guess that's what Sphere Rocket helps out with. So it filters out and make sure you're basically cherry picking the best.
Yep. It was a very
Assistant.
helpful process.
Mhm. Yes, and I guess in your case, how long have you had an assistant for?
2 years coming up this October, 2 years now. I've had 2. I've got an executive assistant and a video editor, and they're wonderful. When I drive around in the car, I put my phone up there and I'm on Zoom talking with them, trying not to get in an accident, just spending my day with them. Right. It's good.
But having a virtual assistant, basically working with someone far away. I mean, as much as we can put it as having a normal employee, there's still a difference because it's not someone that you can just go on and walk to his or her table or desk and look at what he's doing. So there's the process should be different, would be a bit different compared to hiring someone in real life. So in terms of having a virtual assistant, how did you set up the parameters? How were you able to make sure that you have a working system in terms of like in onboarding new people that's virtually there for you?
Well, I probably could have done that better, Dwayne, but I mean, it's challenging. People are challenging, period. And I played, when I was in music, I played jazz. I like to make things up on the fly and really react quickly to things. And so I wish I was a little better at managing with the operating procedures and the SOPs like you would in the Army, or a good manager would. But I've enjoyed just the relationship and teaching my assistants, and I kind of rail a little bit against the word virtual. I have another part-time assistant here in the US that lives about 45 minutes away. I don't get to see her very often, and more often than not, I'm on the phone or on Zoom call. She jumps on the Zoom call with us. She can come to the office and does to help straighten up because I'm messy by nature. So it does help if you're a good manager with operating procedures and have very delegated tasks for things for the person to do. But I like to get to know the people and find out their skills and their talents, increase their skills with training. So I like to teach them AI. And one of them just got I'm jealous because my assistant got an Apple M3 laptop. And I'm like, I'd love to have that technology. Anyway, I guess my point is that there's still people, and you just have to operate good business procedures, right? I mean, it's no different than any other employee. Granted, you don't get to see them, and that's hopefully one day I do because I enjoy them as humans. You know, they're wonderful ladies.
Yeah, I guess typically just lots of trial and error, and as you mentioned, similar to what you have, working locally, because you've kind of have similar
Yes,
experience having someone working for you that's 45 minutes away. So yeah, it doesn't make much of a difference since you have Zoom, you have any other streaming tool that you can talk to someone in real time, and I guess all the tasks can be done like digitally without physical touch. Like as you mentioned earlier, like someone in person talking to them like that. So yeah, I guess that covers up a lot of the task force as an assistant. And going back to your business, so you, as a real estate person, though, you have podcasts on the side, and do you have any other businesses other than selling houses, or it's just like you're just laser focused right now on the real estate part?
I do want to create some assets, and I do have a team. So the business is basically revenue share in the context of this virtual real estate company. And where my parents were physically located and geographically in this metropolitan area, this company gets to operate just like we are in 20 different states and virtually, if you want to use that word. But we network, we get together, we physically get together once or twice a year, and then we just meet like this on screen. But we have some really talented people, and I get to generate revenue by sponsoring them into the company, but I don't have to directly manage them like I do my assistants, or the assistants are helping me. So I love that. I get to be in the new world. It used to be a broker and to hire affiliates, agents, you had to be licensed for 3 years as a broker. Now you can be an affiliate and recruit or attract, if you will, other agents and actually gain revenue from them as they sell products, as they sell homes. So my other real revenue stream is the stock in real and then the rev share that we're building through the team. So I've got a dozen members here locally, but other members across the country.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to be living in the future to have those kind of streams of income. And also, as you mentioned, having assistants like this from different places means that they have better opportunities to get work because of, again, the technology that we have today. And
yes, they don't have to travel there in the Philippines to their jobs. They are so appreciative. They get to stay at home
exactly
with their family.
Yeah, that's the best part about being able to work from anywhere. Gets more time with your family, and that's priceless. You can earn all the money that you want, but you can't really earn time because time is something that you can never get back, and it's never going to
be the most precious. It's the most precious commodity we have.
Exactly. And you know what? That's why we get assistants, to make sure that we have more time in our hands, and we're basically saving not just money but also time. And,
yes,
that's how this works. And going back into the real estate side of things, can you tell us which areas do you sell the properties that you have?
I'm a broker in Tennessee and Georgia, and I'm located in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So we're about an hour from Jack Daniel's distillery. And you might have heard of the song back in the day, Chattanooga Choo Choo. So we're known for Tennessee being Jack Daniel's. I'm just north of Atlanta, Georgia. And so we're located between Nashville and Atlanta in the southeast corner of Tennessee.
So I guess other than being a well-known place to buy your Jack Daniels and stuff like that, what's good in Tennessee? Like, why are people moving there right now? Why is it getting popular for people, buying
No
homes
income
there?
tax. No, excuse. I'm sorry, Dwayne, for speaking over you, but no income tax in Tennessee. There is a modest income tax in Georgia, but I sell a lot of homes from the CEO of iFixit and is moving and hiring about 200 people here. And they have an operation in California on the coast, but they love Chattanooga for the rock climbing. We have mountains in East Tennessee. Tennessee is a really long, narrow state. So you have the Mississippi Delta and the flat country in the west, and the East Tennessee, we're the hillbillies. So we've got hills and creeks and rivers and rocks, and one leg is shorter than the other because it's just we're on the hillsides all the time. So they love the rock climbing and the outdoor mountain biking and the outdoor activities and the lakes for fishing. So that's why people love to retire here. We were just voted one of the best retirement communities in the country. So and we're a temperate rainforest. So we get a lot of people I call halfbacks, people that started up in the Michigan and Ohio River Valley. We're the halfway point to Disney World in Florida. So people would spend the night here and they know about Chattanooga, but they might move and retire in Florida and they melt and they get so hot and they're just like, oh, and they come halfway back to Chattanooga and say, this is perfect. We got a little seasons. It's, might get a snow here and there, but for the most part, it's a nice temperate, modest climate.
Pretty much the Goldilocks area.
Yes, yes.
It's the perfect way for that. And I can imagine, like me when I was younger, I always enjoy like life in the city, and I know that there's better opportunities for career here, but I do see that retiring in a quiet place where you don't hear the sounds of car everywhere, and of course the quality of air is a lot better. That sounds like a fantastic place to go in, and you get to enjoy the seasons. Like, I guess each and every one of the seasons, since it's not too hot, it's not too cold, as you mentioned, and you got a lot of activities out that you can do there. And yeah, and if you would give an advice to any would-be buyers in Tennessee and Chattanooga, and in specific, you can be specific or just within Tennessee, what would be advice for them if, let's say, they are first-time homeowners? Like, what do you think are the things that people often overlook, or just need to do more research on?
Oh goodness, there's a lot of different questions there, Dwayne. First-time home buyers, I do all of it because I love different people and young. I've got a closing coming up with a young couple, first-time home, and she's a manager for a hotel here. We have a lot of hotels, and so my counsel to them is don't buy too much, right? Don't be house poor. In other words, have enough money to go do these fun things because we live in such a wonderful area. And let's try it. And that's a challenge. That's a real challenge right now, is to find an affordable, modest home with inflation rates and interest rates. So that's a challenge. I'm not going to pretend that it isn't. So you might have to give up a little bit on location and schools and that kind of thing to find something that's affordable. But that's my counsel for a first-time home buyer. But to everybody else, come on. Dwayne, when you retire, get Justin to come on to Chattanooga, man. I mean, it's a great place to live.
Yeah, and one of my other podcasts, people often has two things that they have to consider in buying a property. It's just their budget and the location. So if they can't, if they want a location but the budget is too less, then oftentimes they would only adjust their location. The budget, it's kind of firm. So if they can afford that location, they need to change to somewhere like a lot more cheaper. So yeah, I guess that's one of the things that people, the main thing that people consider before buying something. And yeah, definitely would like to visit there if I'm ever in America at some point. And yeah, and I would maybe have a podcast with you in real person.
Come on.
If we can in the near future. Yeah, definitely.
Would love to. I'd love
what
to
are
visit
the
the
best?
Philippines.
You should. you get to meet your assistants in real life for the
Yes.
first time, and I'm sure that's going to be quite an experience like that. And going back to your listing and stuff, what are the best ways to to see your listings and maybe get in touch with you?
Well, going to brianrkelly.com is a WordPress website I have, and I may need to get a new assistant to help me with that. By the way, because I have a lot of things in my head that I just don't have time for. So that may be my next assistant, is to get a WordPress HTML person, but JavaScript. But anyway, so yeah, just that, or you've got, there's my phone number, and just look up Brian R. Kelly or Brian Rhodes Kelly, Brian Kelly Realtor on X. I'm on Instagram, Brian Kelly Realtor on Instagram. So I'm out there in the medias.
Okay, so I
YouTube.
guess you're everywhere. You just need to search Brian Kelly, and I have to say for
Brian R.
myself.
Kelly. Yeah, because if you do Brian Kelly, he's a coach for a football team here at LSU. And so there's a lot of us Irish Brian Kellys out there. So yeah, I try to distance myself from R. Kelly. I can fly.
Your name is quite similar with a lot of celebrities, but who knows? You
Yeah.
could be. Hopefully, one day you'd be the first person to come out once I search up Brian Kelly anywhere. Yeah. And I guess the final question that I have before we end this podcast is, you've been doing this in the real estate world for 30 years, I guess, around 30 years.
30,
You started,
34. Yes. Yeah. You don't have to
yeah,
remain.
3 decades. Normally, people would, if you're going to stay that long in a profession, it's got to be more than just money. Having that, although it's a good thing to earn something from doing something at working,
Yes.
but to say that means it has got to be there's got to be something else that's going to push you in doing this. So beyond the money, why do you do what you do for like more than 3 decades now?
Well, one, I really love learning, and I really believe that God's purpose for me is he's always pushed me back into business. When I first became a believer in Jesus, I was like, maybe I should just be a pastor. And he's like, no, I don't want you to push you back in business. But I've always done something related to real estate. I've owned an insurance company. I worked for a title company just out of school. I worked for my mom in relocation. There's so many facets of real estate, to make money and lose money. I've done commercial and worked on my CCIM. It's fascinating to me. I love real estate because it's so big. And then the people and the stories, I get to serve them with varied expertise. And it's one of the reasons I love that, because like I pulled up, so this is a good AI example, just the last one I'll leave you with. So one of my agents bought a property in Memphis on a tax sale, but the person came to redeem the property. If you understand tax sales, it's because someone didn't pay the property taxes, it goes up for sale. And so you could pay the taxes and get the property, but they can redeem it if they pay the back taxes. And he said, what do I do? I don't know. I can't find an attorney to do it. So I put AI into the framework of being a tax sales specialist for Shelby County and making it an attorney. And it came up with the answer. And I said, here's what you do. You've got to send this letter to the Movant, because, and do I know all this? No, but I know how to get it, right? So I love real estate because I know how to search titles. I know about liens. I know so much about, because I've been around it for so many decades now. I get to help people in special ways that we both don't even know when we're entering into a deal.
I guess that makes the work exciting. Having
Yes.
different elements that you can always play around with, and new things always evolving. It's not like, working in an office job, like doing the same thing for 8 hours straight every day, like 5 days a week.
Yes.
It's exciting. You don't get burned out, and you definitely love what you're doing. And I guess one of the strongest factors that you have is, your heart is into helping people. So
Yes.
coming from a position of helping instead of just like for yourself is something that goes far beyond what happiness money can give someone.
Absolutely, Dwayne. Well said.
Yeah, definitely. And Brian, I wish we have more time, but unfortunately, this is the last part of the podcast. So before we end
Okay.
this, if you have anything else you would like to promote, or we want to give a shout out to your business partners or your assistants, feel free to do so now.
Oh, well, my assistants, both to Irish and Gege, thank you so much. I appreciate Spear Rocket and Justin, what they've done and built. And so I appreciate their hard work. They're amazing. And so what they bring to the table for me is really encouraging. And I enjoy, getting to know some of even their families, just like I do people here. And to the team that I have here, like Jaja and Jane, Nate, Thedra, I'm leaving a lot of names out. I just enjoy seeing their success, right? And as we build the network, I just enjoy seeing people thrive and do well. And this morning, I'm enjoyed getting to see your smile, Dwayne, and being on your podcast. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you here in the podcast as well. And hopefully one day I could get the same kind of background, a real background in a real studio that you have. That aside, I've learned a lot in this podcast, and pretty much I can see now why you're able to be in this business for like 34 years. Because, you just have, you mentioned that you're an introvert, but it's hard to see how you're an introvert based on how good you are with connecting with people. So
I like one-on-one. I'm a relator, but yeah, it takes energy for me to project and So
okay, anyway. I guess you need to recharge your social battery.
Yes,
as an introvert. So with that being said, that is the end of our podcast for everyone. Hopefully, like me, you've learned a lot. It's been an amazing episode, and we'll hopefully see you again in the next episode here at the Sphere Rocket Podcast Network. Goodbye, everyone.
Take care, Dwayne.
Feeling overwhelmed by your business tasks? Well, it's time to step up your game. Visit www.sphererocketva.com and get a virtual assistant from us at Sphere Rocket VA. Streamline your business operations and focus on what really matters.